Make sure you guys smash that subscribe button if you guys are fans of the content being posted onto this channel to always be in the loop with more content similar to this, and be sure to hit the video up with a like if you're enjoying the content. And with that being said, let's begin. Ever since the initial announcement of Blumhouse not only having to work on 1 but 3 Halloween films that were set to be released in 2018 and originally in 2020 and 2021, now being pushed back to 2021 and 2022, there have been so many people within the horror and Halloween community that have often been speculating and begging the question as to what exactly can we expect to see going forward once Halloween Ends does in fact come to a close. Now, why is Halloween Ends necessarily important? Well, it ties in the entire trilogy of Halloween 2018, Halloween Kills, and Halloween Ends together, and because of this, we can only expect to have the story come to an end with Michael Myers either having to survive or Michael Myers having to finally finish off the Strode family, which includes Karen, Allyson, and of course Laurie. But then again, after Halloween Ends, one must ask, where do we go from here? Now, I do believe that later on down the road, the Halloween property does in fact have value, and it does have marketability behind it, given the fact that Halloween 2018 had set the precedent in opening the doors and having other movies either be remade or have another timeline be included to where it follows the original. And make no mistake about it, after Halloween Ends, there's a good chance that we aren't going to see anything come from the Halloween IP anytime soon following Halloween Ends, but a lot of that I do believe either boils down to fan demand and the revenue made from these films. But considering how the world is right now, we may not all be able to fully go into movie theaters for quite some time, which would ultimately cause movies like Halloween Ends and Halloween Kills to lose massive amounts of money, given the fact that movie studios can't make money off of movie theaters and showcase events where people are paying money in droves to go out to see the movie in theaters. So until then, until something comes of the events following what's going on in the world today, it only now appears like Halloween Kills is scheduled to be on track and being released in theaters next October. But if that does end up being the case and we end up getting Halloween Kills and Halloween Ends in theaters successfully, then ultimately enough, where do we go from here? Now, so many fans within the Halloween fandom have either theorized or prognosticated other movies following Halloween Kills, perhaps sequels of some sorts, but one of the most popular discussions within the fandom going on right now is a conversation being held in fans wanting to see the continuation of what happens after the events of Halloween Resurrection, which of course to all the old school fans and the OG fans that have stuck around during the events and the days of Halloween Resurrection have often wondered what happened to Michael Myers. Where does Michael Myers go from here? Is it possible for us to see a sequel following the events of Halloween Resurrection? Of course, in today's day and age, anything is possible, but what I do believe could come from the future of the Halloween property is they could either go into a direction where they do actually end up making a sequel to Halloween Resurrection and kind of twisting the narrative, or either retconning certain events that have happened prior in Halloween H2O, Halloween Resurrection, and etc. I do believe that that kind of sequel is still possible and is still on the table, but it all varies on if the studios and if the movie companies can actually make money off of a branded kind of script where it follows the events of Halloween Resurrection. Now, of course, this is subjective in the idea that certain fans would either agree in this project making money or not. By the end of the day, these movie companies and studios solely care about profit, which there's nothing objectively wrong with making money to begin with, because that is why they start these projects to begin with, but it has to be sensical, it has to be profitable, and it has to be marketable for people to go out and see. Now, the question here is, will it be possible to see a sequel following Resurrection? Of course. Would it be logical enough to have something follow the events of Halloween Ends? That's subjective, and it's only subjective based on how Halloween ends and how ultimately enough Halloween Kills transitions into Halloween Ends for it to possibly even transition following those events into another Halloween movie, which by now a lot of people may argue and say it wouldn't make any sense given the fact that in this current timeline right now, Michael's in his 60s, and he doesn't seem to arguably have supernatural-like powers. Of course, maybe due to his body and the length of time he spent locked away, he may have in fact either been immune or had honed his body enough to resist pain, or something other than proving the fact that Michael Myers is in fact some sort of a supernatural being, which of course it is implied in this current timeline as well. But we know Michael Myers simply isn't demonstrating feats of supernatural speed or even supernatural strength, because up until now, Michael had been proven to be very dominant and very pain tolerant, but it doesn't mean that Michael Myers in this current timeline is some sort of an immortal being, or at least that's not what they're implying. So the question here is, would a sequel to Halloween Resurrection make money, and would it make sense? Just like the question here is, would a sequel following the events of Halloween Ends also make sense, and would it make money? But also at the same time, there have been other fans in the fandom that have wanted something very similar to what Rob Zombie had done, and that's go back and kind of remake the Halloween franchise in having new producers and a new director step in basically having to tell their vision of how Michael Myers grew up, and basically remaking the first set of movies in their own image. Again, similar to Rob Zombie, but not necessarily in that kind of way. But what's most interesting about what happens going forward is seeing how everything is going to be dropping on HBO Max, which again, you have to consider all of the marketing and all of the revenue that these companies are looking to make from said properties in order to continue, because what movie studio out there would want to continue working on a movie or a movie franchise if that said movie franchise is not bringing them money? So it's kind of dark as of this point, because whether or not you are a Halloween fan, you have to accept the fact that at some point Halloween does have a ceiling, but it's all about what they make of it that's going to cause the franchise to progress over the years in having a new story introduced, perhaps maybe new characters, or if they want to go down a direction to where they want to remake something, they can. And make no mistake about it, I would love to see something to where down the line they kind of end up either creating different routes and different scenarios to where a story may pick up after the events of Halloween H2O, after the events of Halloween 2 perhaps, after the events of Resurrection, maybe even having a new director and company step in kind of telling a different story as to what happened after the events of the original movie, which was Halloween 1. Just like David Gordon Green and company, they could always tell their vision and express their story on the screen on what happened following the events of Halloween 1, in introducing a similar element or a similar story, except twisting it in their own different way. Again, one really must sit there and ask as to how far they can go with this property, and make no mistake about it, as of right now, the Halloween franchise is making these people money, and it is a very valuable property, but how far can we push this property in creating more movies and creating more products for fans to enjoy? Now, there is the possibility that, of course, they could follow through in doing something very similar to what Friday the 13th did in giving us a Halloween game, or perhaps multiple Halloween games. They could ultimately also follow suit with creating a Halloween TV show, whether that be on Netflix or another program. Again, that's all subjective, but would that work? Would a Halloween TV show work? Would a Halloween sequel to Resurrection, or perhaps maybe another vision of what could happen after H2O, after Halloween 2, after Halloween 1 actually work after both Halloween Kills and Halloween Ends comes to a close? Because what they could also do is they could go back to the 90s, they can go back to the 80s, they can go back to the 70s, and have more of an inclusive story in having Michael Myers perhaps take up a new storyline of some sorts by having to retcon maybe his age in changing specific events around, instead of having him be locked up for 30, 40 years instead, in having him come out in his 60s. What they can do is tell a different story involving maybe a different set of characters perhaps. So I think that the overall property and the potential for Halloween is seemingly limitless, but you don't have to have it link up or be linked up to the original if you don't want it to. And although a lot of people are going to rebel and not like the overall sense of direction if Laurie's not included or if they tend to go in a different route, but it is possible. And when looking at the overall narrative for Halloween, you have one of two choices: either spice it up by doing something different by including new characters and a new story, or you can go back in possibly either doing a continuation or retconning something by having to remake or reboot it entirely, in doing the same thing perhaps, but in a different way. But in the end, I want to get your thoughts in the comment section below about three specific things. Number one, where do you see the Halloween franchise going forward after Halloween Ends? Number two, what would you want to see following the events of both Halloween Kills and Halloween Ends in terms of more additional Halloween movies? And lastly, do you think that the Halloween franchise is essentially going to end for a short time after Halloween Ends, or is the Halloween franchise going to continue to thrive even after both movies are released? Again, thank you all so much for watching. Thank you all so much for your time. If, of course, you guys are new to the channel, then I do encourage you guys to smash that subscribe button and give this video a big thumbs up by slapping that like button down below. Tune back in for more. The future is quite unknown, especially as of this current point in time right now, but what is safe to say is that both Halloween Kills and Halloween Ends are coming, and it's just a matter of time. So again, thank you all so much for watching. Tune back in for more, and I'll be seeing each and every single one of you guys down in the comment section below. Have a great day, everybody, and take care. Peace.